All right, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to, or at least my approach to warping text and building up your design in Photoshop. All right, so what I would suggest is first creating a file. So what I did was I created a new file and I just made it 11 by 8.5 and the resolution 120, which is sufficient for what you're doing. You could also hold it 8.5 by 11 depending on what direction your object flows better in, right? So I created this file. Then what I did was I took the reference picture that I created, I'm sorry, the reference picture that I found, and I dragged it into my 8.5 by 11. So when I initially dragged it in, it was much smaller, so I scaled it up using Control-T and holding the Shift key down to keep it in place. To make it, fit the paper size better. Then I decided I would start thinking about creating the shape of this bird, right? So you can use this as reference. So I started, actually you can see I started labeling things, outlining it. Okay, so I have legs, 2 legs, right, for the legs. I'm probably going to refine them a little bit better, but just to show you, I created that using my shape tool, right? So you have all these different shapes down here that you can use. In fact, I'll do this one over again. So I just used the rectangular tool to create the shape of the leg, right? And then I labeled it to keep it organized. And then I created the mouth, okay, in 2 separate parts, all right? And I created that using, in fact, I'll turn this off and I'll make a new one, using my pen tool. So remember, just like in Illustrator 2, you have your pen tool. So wherever you start your object, you trace it, you must close it up, right? So that's how I created the mouth, okay? And then I have the body, right? So I created this body. I created the body using the shape tool as well, actually. I used in fact, I'm going to turn this off and just show you. So I used that's the mouth, the oval tool, or the ellipse tool, I should say. And I made an ellipse. And then I used my direct selection tool, selecting the points. Whoops. And placing it around the bird, right? And I could add more points to it or delete points if I wanted to. I know a lot of you love using the pen tool. I'm saying that sarcastically. I could add more points going to my pen tool. I could add or delete points if necessary. So that's how I created the shape of the bird. So when you turn the reference off, I have the shape of the bird there to work off of. I didn't do the eyes because I'm going to do something a little bit different with the eyes. I'm going to layer them on top of. So I could, my idea is I could really work with this and add my text inside. Maybe it's going to be black and white, all right? Or maybe instead I'm going to change the color of it. Right now I have the stroke line or the outline being black and the fill being nothing. But I could really say I don't want an outline, but I want it to be filled in a color. Maybe I want it to be purple, right, or this purpley blue. So that's what I was thinking about doing. So, you could outline it, not outline it. I'm going to make mine colorful. Okay. And I'll just leave the feet the way they are for now, just so you have an idea. So there's the beginning of my bird, right? So now I can turn off the reference because I really don't need that anymore, and start adding my text. So my suggestion would be, okay, so now you're going to try and figure out how to get that text inside that shape. I would not type the word that you're using, like for instance I'm using bird, and in one type layer. It's limiting you from the amount of things you can do with it, like warping. So I would X that out, and instead I would do each letter separately. So I'm going to have a B. Okay, and I already picked out my font style. You're going to want to go ahead and try and write the word or object you're using, and then try and figure out your style. Okay, and then I'm going to put these all underneath here. And they have R. And I have D. Whoops. D. Okay, so I have all 3 letters. So now what I would do is try to position them in a way, so I mean you could stretch them out, right? In a way that they fit for the most part, but I'm going to show you how you can warp them more. Okay. So maybe bird's going to be like, the eye's going to be like that. So I'd just plan it out, because you want to also make sure that these all fit nicely. I really don't like my eye. I feel like it should be a little thicker. There it is. I'm going to move everything over. Okay. And then my D. Whoops. Alright, so once you get your letters placed, what I would do, and just know that if I would rasterize your letters so that they become an object, so you can warp them further. I just know that once you rasterize your text, you cannot go back and change it. So you want to make sure that the type, the font style that you have, and everything really works. So I'm going to rasterize my type. So I rasterize the B. I'm going to rasterize the R. Rasterize the D. Okay. So now what you can do is with each letter, you can go up to edit, and you've got a lot more options. You could rotate, which we've done. I don't know if you really would want to rotate it. You can distort. I'm going to warp it. Okay, so what you can then do is go in and really place the text using these anchor bars on the shape a little bit better. You can also move the points around inside. You want to be careful because, I mean, this is a great tool, but it also really distorts it. So you want it to look like a natural distortion and not like, it sounds strange, but like an unnatural distortion. Like I almost don't like the way the top looks here. Might want to like round it out a little bit more. So this is how you can kind of play around with it. Right, and then I would go into some of my other letters and continue to slowly warp it. Okay. Now you want to make sure it really works nicely. Okay. So again, I might go back in and fix it a little bit more. I really don't like the way this is what's happening here. I could add to it, you know, to make it look better. I also don't like how this isn't straight anymore. I kind of warped it a little bit, so I might kind of clean that up a little bit better. I mean, what you could really do is even, if you don't want to go back into the letter itself, you can, you know, use shapes to help clean things up, like add a little black line there to make it straighter. Okay. And then what I could do is also play around with color, positive, negative. Like maybe I don't want these to stay black. Maybe I should have changed them beforehand, but I could also select it using my wand tool, and maybe I'm going to make this white instead. So maybe I'm going to use my paintbrush or my paint bucket to just fill it in to see the differences between keeping it black versus white. Might have this run off the page, right? So you can see that this is how we can kind of play around with the idea of creating text within a shape, right? Different approaches. I hope you find this helpful. And like I said, this is for Photoshop.